You know how every civilization has its ghost stories? Well, imagine if that ghost story suddenly showed up on your front door with an entire fleet of warships. So we're diving into a story about a species that everyone thought was just a myth, a species that suddenly came back. And let me tell you, it's a reckoning for everyone who forgot them.
So, for generations, humanity was basically the boogeyman. They were these campfire tales you told to scare rookie diplomats, right? Stories about a ruthless, stubborn species from some lost world that just vanished after burning way too brightly. The big galactic powers? Yeah, they were pretty confident humanity was gone for good.
And then, out of nowhere, a single, absolutely chilling transmission gets broadcast across the stars. Just 3 words. And with those 3 words, boom, the galaxy's entire understanding of its own history just shattered. An era had ended, and a new one was about to begin.
So, how does a legend become a terrifying, galaxy altering reality? Well, it starts the moment those ghost stories stop being stories and start knocking on your door.
You know, the first shock wasn't a weapon being fired. It was just a visual. The rest of the galaxy had gotten used to these ships that were basically works of art, sleek, elegant, almost organic. And then these things show up, human vessels. They were just brutal, angular, battle-scarred killing machines. It was a statement of intent before a single shot was even fired.
And that was their introduction. No diplomacy, no hello, how are you? Just a simple, cold statement of fact, broadcast in a language that hadn't been heard for centuries. The legend had just given itself a name. The galaxy didn't really have a lot of time to process this comeback tour because humanity immediately turned its attention to the single biggest, baddest threat in the entire cosmos, the Drek Dominion. 4 hours. Just think about that for a second. The Drake were this unstoppable force that had the entire Galactic Council shaking in their boots. They were swallowing whole systems, and humanity just dismantled their main fleet in less time than it takes to get through a standard workday. I get this. The technological and tactical gap was just staggering. In that 4-hour, well, you can't even call it a battle, in that 4-hour annihilation of the galaxy's top predator, humanity suffered less than 0.5% in casualties. This wasn't a fight, it was an extermination. It tells you something really important. Power isn't just about size, it's about focus. See, the Dreek built an empire. Humanity built a weapon. The scale of this destruction was it's hard to even wrap your head around. We're talking over 2,000 warships, pretty much the entire Drek military, and dozens of worlds. Just gone. But these numbers, they tell a much bigger story. The humans weren't just winning a war, they were demonstrating this capacity for methodical, efficient erasure. They were sending a crystal clear message. The old rules of galactic conflict? Yeah, they don't apply anymore. So as the supposed rulers of the galaxy watched all this go down, you'd think they'd be relieved, right? Wrong. They were terrified. Their greatest enemy was being wiped off the map, but the sheer, silent efficiency of it all was honestly more horrifying than anything the Dricketus had ever done. It forced them to ask a question they had no answer for. What do you do when the solution is way scarier than the problem? That paralysis quickly turns into pure desperation. So in this last-ditch effort to try and understand, to try and control this new reality, the leader of the Galactic Council agrees to meet these ghosts face-to-face on their flagship, the Retribution. High Chancellor Vexar shows up, and she's immediately trying to play by the old rules. You know, diplomacy, titles, formal introductions. She's trying to pull this insane situation back into a framework that she understands, a world of politics and negotiation. And that was the ice-cold response she got from the human leader, Admiral Veros, when she asked why he'd ignored all their messages. With that one sentence, he dismissed the Council's entire value proposition. Status, wealth, alliances, none of it meant a thing. The currency of the old galaxy? It was worthless here. And right there, in that one moment, Vexar gets it. The horror of the situation just clicks into place. The humans don't want planets. They don't want resources. Their goal is something more primal, more absolute. This is her chilling conclusion. She realizes she's not negotiating with a new political power. She is facing a civilization that has been forged for centuries in the fires of a single burning purpose: vengeance. And an empire built on a grudge, well, it operates on a logic that politics just can't touch. So, what's the source of this all-consuming vengeance? Well, it turns out the galaxy's history books weren't just incomplete, they were a deliberate lie. Admiral Varros just lays it all bare. Humanity didn't just fade away. They were fighting a terrible war, they called for help from their so-called allies in the Council, and they were met with total silence. They were left to die. Vexar, just trying to find some angle, any angle, asks the one question that nobody in the galaxy knows the answer to. What actually happened to the human homeworld? And Varros' reply, man, it's a total gut punch. Humanity's home is lost. Not destroyed, not uninhabitable, it's just gone. Vanished from every record, every star chart.
And there it is, the ultimate accusation. This isn't just about being abandoned in some war. Humanity believes the old council didn't just leave them to die, but that they actively erased their home from existence to cover up that betrayal.
This one confrontation, it changes everything. The conflict is no longer about past grievances. Now it's about the future of the entire galaxy and a truth that could unravel its very foundation. And the result of all this? A complete, seismic shift in galactic power. The Council's authority didn't just decline, it totally evaporated. Almost overnight, the United Human Systems became the de facto galactic authority.
And this shift happened incredibly fast. Systems started surrendering to humanity willingly. Why? Because the humans did in a single month what the Council couldn't do in centuries, provide actual security. They got rid of the Drak. So entire civilizations chose the proven strength of a terrifying protector over the empty politics of a failed one. It was a peaceful but chillingly efficient takeover.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. Humanity didn't just come back as conquerors. They came back as arbiters of a justice that was delayed for centuries. They're forcing the entire galaxy to confront the truth of its own history and to ask a really terrifying question. What happens when the people you erased from the history books come back to write the final chapter?